On Monday, 21 WFMJ will unveil a new 5 p.m. newscast with Lindsay McCoy, former WFMJ Weekend Today host, at the anchor desk. The hour-long broadcast will air weekdays and bolster the locally owned television station's news offerings. The additional 5 hours per week of local news adds to more than 30 hours of local coverage WFMJ provides. I'm Bertram de Souza, host of the Scribbler Publishing Group podcast and retired editorial page editor and Sunday columnist for the now-closed Youngstown Vindicator. The weekly podcast is streamed on the Scribbler YouTube channel and Facebook page, WFMJ.com, and other digital platforms. Joining me today to talk about WFMJ's deeper foray into the world of news is Lindsay, who has been with the station since 2012. The 5 p.m. broadcast will also feature meteorologist Andrew DiPaolo. Lindsay, congratulations on Monday's launch of the 5 p.m. news program and your role as anchor. And joining you on air will be Storm Tracker 21 meteorologist Andrew DiPaolo. Oh. Before we talk about what the viewers can expect, tell me about yourself, where you grew up, school, college, and also what prompted you to get into TV journalism.
Well, thank you for having me here. I am from Northeast Ohio. I'm a native. I am from Stowe. Technically Cuyahoga Falls. Yeah. I'll get into that, but I grew up in the region, and my parents are, both active voters. They watch the news every night, and my dad was actually a UAW rep and auto worker, and so when he got into the UAW side of things, he was real into local politics. He'd read the paper every morning and explain what's happening, and I knew at a young age how the world worked behind the scenes a little bit, and it was a very cool inside scoop every time your dad's talking about politics. Okay, well, this candidate's going to do this, and I didn't know much about party lines at that age, but we would go along with him to events, and he'd put signs in yards, and so I kind of understood the game of politics at a young age. And then my mom's actually a little more conservative. Hope she doesn't care to share that. And so I understand both sides of the aisle and how people think, and so we lived in Cuyahoga Falls. Right down the street from the high school. Okay. And then we moved to Blossom Music Center area, which is Northampton. Sure. To get out in the country. I went to Woodridge, then I went to Stowe. When my parents divorced, I started high school in Stowe. And my mom was looking for a high school for me because we just didn't know where I'd fit in. Should I go to a private school? Should I go to another public school and enroll? Should I, maybe Firestone, they're known for acting. And Melina Catacarides, a well-known actress, her sister lived up the street. She went to Firestone. They said, oh, go to Firestone. My mom went to Stowe. And in an open house, they had, get to know the school. We have all these programs. She went to it. She said, Lindsay, there's a TV news program here. You have to go. They have a journalism class. And so I went to the tour the next day with her. They had a 2-day showcase of the Stowe schools, and that's how it started.
And where did you go to college?
I went to Kent State University.
And you got your degree in journalism?
Broadcast journalism, the specific track.
And then where was your first job as a TV journalist?
I actually started while I was in school. I thought, man, I need to get ahead. This sounds like it's going to be hard to get into news. It's competitive. Right. Yeah. And you don't get paid much when you start out, so you better get started. And at that time, I didn't want my parents to give me money all the time. My mom worked 2 jobs, because once they had divorced, she had to figure out how to make her own way. So I kind of witnessed the single mom life at the same time. My dad did his own thing, and so I thought, okay, success is my only option here. I cannot fail. So I went to my professor. I said, hey, can you find me an internship? And the professor, Gary Hansen, used to be news director at KBN.
Sure. I know Gary.
Yeah, said, I have a place for you. Go to Akron, go to downtown and meet with this guy named Ed Esposito. He runs the newsroom in Akron at WAKR. A well-known, established Akron station. Used to be TV, now it's just radio. And I said, okay. I went in, interviewed with him, and I interned 2 summers for free. Okay. They don't pay interns back then. And then I got hired on part-time my junior year of college. I was the weekend morning anchor. And I'd go in at 4 in the morning as a college student who could be out partying. I'm going in the stairwells next to my friends leaving. They're coming back from a good night saying, where are you going? I'm like, I'm going to work. And I just knew it was worth it. And I ran a newsroom alone every weekend, taking phone calls. I even did the weather. You know how you record on the phone and someone would call in and get the weather on the phone?
Yes.
That was me sometimes. I thought that was the coolest. I say Monday, it's going to be sunny, and Tuesday, partly cloudy. So, but I did the newscast every half hour, a 7-minute local newscast. I was writing, editing, selecting stories, producing all by myself, and then anchoring.
So how did you end up in Youngstown?
Oh, so I had been in radio for probably 5 years, went to work for AOL. They had a new web-only work-from-home job. I tried for a year, wasn't for me. I did not like the work-from-home concept, unlike many in COVID.
Right.
I didn't thrive. I don't know, maybe not social enough of a situation. I need that
It's difficult for journalists to work alone.
Right, and I needed a place to go and do my work and file. I would file in the car, at home. I just didn't have a newsroom. And so I went back to radio, liked it, but the hours were tough. I was on the morning drive weekdays, so I was the morning anchor, and it was fun, but I was tired, and I kind of had given up on TV news. I did not think I was ever going to get into TV. Graduated during the recession, 2008, and it was scary. I thought, wow, I'm lucky I have a job. I was part-time weekends, moved to full-time at Rubber City Radio, and I thought I was pretty lucky. I have friends that they were delayed, and some didn't even get into the industry. But I had a friend that worked here, Rob Decker, did sports part-time. He said, hey, we have an opening if you want to maybe interview. I think they may interview with you at least. And I thought, well, this is a long shot. So I'll just go out there and see if it's for me and if they even give me a chance. And the interview, I remember I met Mona.
Yeah.
And that went.
That's Mona Alexander.
Yes, and she's
the news director.
Very well known. And I thought, okay, I want to make sure I impress her, but you know, I know what I know at this point. I've been in long enough. If it's not good enough, then I'm not going to make it here. But I figured she would know because she asked some tough questions at the beginning. I remember her asking me what were my duties, and I had a variety of duties, radio, web. I had tried new things, and I always find myself in situations where I'm trying something new or starting a new project. And so I had a lot of things to share with her, and it's kind of ironic that now I'm doing something new again, because we did the weekend morning show here. That was sort of new when I started, and I started a video podcast, vodcast at the radio station, but it was before iPads came out. So I contend to this day it would have done well, but we didn't have iPads yet. So yeah, that was, you know, I was always feeling like I was a little ahead of my time on some of that, but now this feels just right.
And so yeah, you did. So you've been here since
2012. So I started right before the second election for Obama when he won. And you know, I love covering elections. I'd covered Obama's first election, and he would campaign. We'd do Hillary Clinton's campaign stops in Akron, Joe Biden. He was actually campaigning one year. I remember being at the Labor Hall, downtown Akron, sat next to Katie Couric. I thought that was pretty neat because she had just gotten that CBS role. In the evenings, she became the evening anchor. And those were different times. Things were changing. The mood was different. People wanted change and hope. We'd been in the Afghanistan war for so long, and it was a different time.
Yeah. So in the press release from WFMJ announcing the 5 p.m. news broadcast that you are going to anchor, you said this, and it struck me that it's something I'd like to talk to you about. You said, quote, "As a working mom, I find it hard to keep up with what's happening and juggle all my duties at home. So I want to offer viewers a place to catch up, learn more about what's news, what's behind some of the headlines, and to be able to make plans for all the fun events in the area." The reason I found that interesting is because of the working mom's concept. And could you expound on that, especially given that you're like a lot of women in today who are working, raising families, doing all of this, actually have 2 full-time jobs in effect.
Yeah.
And so as a journalist who's going to be, you know, being part of launch of a new news program, tell me what's behind this thought of the working mom concept.
It's hard. It's a big undertaking, I think, to work and be a mom. And I think it's also hard to be a stay-at-home mom all the time. I think being a mom is a big job. It's the best job, my favorite job. But it's also one that I definitely feel like I have to make sure I'm doing the best I can. And I feel sometimes like maybe I'm not doing the best in one place or the other. I want to make sure I'm the best everywhere, but that's not realistic. And I know a lot of moms feel pressure and mom guilt, mom anxiety. I have mom anxiety sometimes still. But when I came back from maternity leave, it was kind of hard at the beginning. I didn't tell a lot of people, but I was very stressed out. I was just anxious all the time, worried about every little move that was happening without me being home. I had never, you know, I don't know, babysat an infant very much. I did a lot of nannying in college to make money. Because like I said, I didn't want my parents to have to give me money.
Right.
I felt I was kind of on an island there for a little bit. I wanted to make sure I could take care of myself at all times. But I want to make sure that I just did the best I could. And some of that came back to, well, I'm in the car too much, or I'm away too much from her, or I'm not a good enough mom because I'm not there all the time. But as time went on, I got a better groove, and my family was very supportive because I have in-laws and family that watch while I'm away. So it was a good mix, and she now goes to preschool. But it was a big transition. I think you get separation anxiety because you're worried. Right. Are they okay without me? Do they forget who I am? But I think you got to find a good schedule that works for you.
You know, and it's interesting that you say that even with all the support system you have in place, you still have these anxieties.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine working mothers who don't have this kind of support system.
Oh, it's impossible almost.
It really is, isn't it?
Well, and when you see the schools closed because no air conditioning,
yes.
I immediately think those poor parents are, they're
right.
just trying to do their best. And at the end of the day, we just want to give our kids the best we can give them across the board, and attention and love. And I think as long as I make good memories and I carve out all the extra time I have to give to her, but also take care of myself. It's a juggling act. It's super hard to do, and my hat's off to any woman who does that, or also stays home, because that's right. all day long. You are in the mix, and you don't get to essentially leave and do something different. Right. So it's expensive too. Childcare is expensive, and parents are dealing with a lot.
How will your personal experience guide you as far as the kinds of issues or topics you want to pursue in this 5 p.m. broadcast?
Well, it'll be, so what are the top stories of the day?
Right.
What's everyone talking about? I had a last news director who said, we're doing what people are talking about. I don't want to look at any more press releases. What are people talking about today? And that was the motto at my first station. Mona Alexander, the news director, when she came up with this concept, I thought, exactly, we're missing this. It's not that we're not already doing it,
right?
But we could be doing more, and we could be a little different about it too. The time of day, 5 o'clock, your day's kind of winding down, sorta. Sure. You're getting dinner ready. Maybe you're thinking ahead for tomorrow, the next day. As a mom, I always say I'm planning our next adventures, and we go places. I think the best way I dealt with the mom anxiety and the parenting and working and juggling, is that I would plan events with her and with my husband so that we would have quality time that was fun and new experiences. So how can people learn about what's happening soon? We'll maybe advance some things happening in the community, exciting, or just stuff that supports a cause. Like we have the opioid rally coming up. These are all things that people want to know about. What's happening in my community now? People are talking about it. They're also talking about the news. Sure. They're also talking about health because of the pandemic.
Right.
The conversation I'm hearing a lot with parents is, should I get my kid vaccinated? There's numbers out now. There's hesitancy. People aren't sure what to do.
Yeah.
And should we wait for a booster? And there was not a lot of clarity during the pandemic for parents. And it's still going on today.
Right.
Where parents are not sure what to do. They don't know, is this safe? Is this not safe? What are the vaccines? What were the hospitalization numbers? I never got clear answers on the number of kids hospitalized with COVID. Just the whole COVID thing really made a lot of parents anxious and skeptical, and you're still dealing with it.
One of the things that sort of are really important these days, I believe, for journalists and also for news organizations, is not only to provide clarity, but to provide fact-based, news stories. Right. Because there's so much misinformation out there. You know, when you talk to physicians, you talk to doctors, you talk to specialists, all of them say, please get vaccinated.
Right.
And yet, there are so many people who refuse to do it because they've heard it on cable news, because they've heard it, they've seen it something on, and I think if I see a role that you can play and your newscast can play is to provide that perspective.
Yeah, what's the fact?
What are the facts?
Yeah.
And cut through all of this other stuff that's out there.
What do the scientists know? If you
Right.
work on vaccines, a lot of the experts tell us, well, it won't hurt you to get it. Just get it, and it's an extra safeguard, but it's not going to stop COVID. I think there was just so much misinformation, but also the goalpost kept moving. Okay,
Right.
so they'd say, well, this will prevent you from getting it. Now it just lessens the symptoms. It was confusing. The messaging wasn't organized on the national level. Down to the local level, I still think our local health departments are probably understaffed. And if we have another one of these events, which I certainly hope we don't, are they going to be ready for that?
Exactly.
I hope someone's looking in the mirror and saying, we need to revamp how we handle public health.
WFMJ, 21 WFMJ, is the only locally owned television station in this region, which does ensure an added layer of responsibility to the community. So how will your 5 p.m. Newscast be different from the others that are on air now?
Well,
give us some perspective of what it is you intend to present.
we have the freedom to make choices on the content. We want to make sure it's timely. If it's news, if it's schools, if it's politics, and no one's telling me you have to do this. I'm going to look at the information, do the research, and ask the questions that need asked for folks that are watching at home. Remember, the people on the other side of the screen are the reason I'm here. I'm not here because I showed up and got a job. They need to be able to trust me that I can do the job for them, and I take it very seriously because I don't want to let anyone down. And I think politics is a hard place, but I love covering it, so I know, gee, I want to make sure everyone's voices are represented here. And you'll notice in my political interviews, I don't just take their first answer. I had a different professor in college who said, don't become a stenographer of the status quo. You need to listen and then follow up and press them for information. That's why I just want to plow through the canned answers. I'm tired of them. And I think everyone else at home is too.
Sure.
I think we've had enough, quite frankly, and I think we want to know, what are you going to do for me? Inflation is bad. My groceries are expensive. Everything I go to buy is expensive. Raising a child is expensive. It's stressful to have all of these things happen at one time. I can't imagine how people are going to be able to plan ahead for savings if they don't have someone representing them in Washington.
But beyond politics, what are the kinds of issues and topics you believe that people would be interested in?
I think, how are we protecting our kids in schools? With school security, you had several districts over the summer add layers of protection, but is it enough? Do we know if that's good enough? I think people want to know what's new in the area, and it can be from a new business to a new facility, that like a rec center that Warren is getting. They may want to also know about a new dog park. A lot of people have dogs. I mean, look how much pets make money these days. The pet stores are really where it's at. If you want to make a bang for your buck anymore, you'd be rich if you owned a pet store that had everything pets galore. But my sister loves her dog park. You know, that's part of your everyday life. So how can we make our life better? And so when I say it's hard to keep up, I mean, I want to know everything, not just one topic of news, one subject area. And I want to know how to plan ahead. And I want to know, are you asking tough questions, not just regurgitating file video and national stories that no one cares about anymore. And that's the goal of this show, is to break the boundaries, because the stiff old local newscast is over. Been there, done that. You can watch it in a tighter format, yeah. But I think it's time to just try something a little different. People don't want talked at anymore. They want to be included in the conversation. And we have an app. We have a phone with an app, and I can check my phone all day long and know what's happening. So what more are you going to get? Well, you're going to get the story behind some of that, and we're going to dig a little deeper on things. But we're also going to give you all the local news too. So you're going to get a little bit of everything, what's trending. I mean, I do not have time to check every single social media app.
Right.
I'm lucky to just get my daughter the lunch on the days that I'm off, and if I'm working on my one assignment or two assignments. I'm in my own little world there for a while in a bubble, and I want to know a little bit of everything.
Are they going to be fun segments? Where
Yeah, there's going to be fun.
Where people can escape.
Yeah, because there's a lot of drama.
You sit there all day, and if you pay attention to the politics, you pay attention to government, you pay attention to crime, it does get depressing.
Yeah, that's why I said we got to be able to plan ahead. So think, there are festivals coming up that are, for the change of season. What can we expect from some of those? How are farmers doing, and what are they doing new? Lighter things that help us with our daily life and our plans ahead. Because, I recently enjoyed blueberry picking with my daughter. It was so quiet.
That would have made a great segment.
I loved it. She actually would probably have done a good job. She's kind of a ham. But, I want to do a good job for her as a mom. And I know other moms do too. And we all feel that, I'm in a rut. All we do is this or that, go to the park. I want something new to do. And I want to inspire them because I know what it's like to be them too. When I was off Thursdays and Fridays, I took off my news hat and became the mom. And that means, it's a busy day, but you're just trying to enjoy it. And they grow up so fast.
And I think I don't have children, but I have a feeling that children sense when you're preoccupied.
Oh, sure.
And you're not giving them your entire attention.
Yeah, she's very opinionated on, she wants to play this, and I feel guilty if I say no. Sometimes working moms are tired. So, like I said, this is a balancing act, but I'm so glad I became a mom because I think in that moment in life, I really needed that. I needed to have, my eyes opened up to what more is out there than just working. Because I was in this like survive mode, the next thing, the next accomplishment. I have to, be successful. There's no other option. I don't want to end up, having any issues financially. And it was perfect because, it came at the right time. It was a surprise. I was like, oh, here we go. A baby, breaking news to me. And it was really fun. The process has been fun. And she's now 4 and she's, she says, Mommy on the TV. I don't know if she understands. But she might one day. I don't know. Right now, she thinks I'm boring. Wants to watch Netflix.
Your husband is a lawyer.
Yes.
And so, obviously, another high-pressure job.
Oh yeah.
So how do you balance that? What kind of agreement have you come to?
Our family is there to help us after the school days are over in the evening, and then if he has to work later or on extra stuff. I'll take her on the weekend morning to something I have her in ballet. So he has his moment, his, catch up on work. And he is very busy, but, we also like talking about the news together. And it's kind of fun because when I met him, I thought, oh, I don't know. This is a blind date. I went on a blind date. This is a movie? Yeah. So I thought, well, this is going to be fun. I thought, well, why not? I could use another friend, if anything. Right. And, I went in there and I thought, oh, wow, he's tall. Okay, he's cute. Okay, I can do this. And we got to talking and he's like, oh, I like this one news website. And I said, I work there. And we talk about news. So, yeah, we have a lot of common interests. And he also plays tennis and does his sports stuff. Sure. So he gets his free time. And then I go and do my free time, whatever non-mom things I want to do.
So before we leave, the first show will be on Monday, 5 o'clock. What do we have, or what can viewers look forward to?
Okay, so Labor Day Monday, we're definitely talking about the labor force. If you drive around town, you see the now hiring signs, you get emails. I haven't got one in the daughter's preschool bag. If you know anybody that can teach, give us a call. We'll give you a credit. Exactly. People are looking for workers, so we're going to talk about each sector. We're going to talk politics. Right. I'm not going to wait. I'm going to come out the door, swinging with, I've got a candidate that's running for statewide office, someone well known in the political world to weigh in as well a little later on in the show, and we're going to be talking about local news, what's trending online, the Canfield Fair. That has to be discussed on Labor Day. Yes. It sounds like they're doing pretty well so far. So that's an exciting thing. And we have more interviews as well. So I don't want to give up all of the big secrets, but the exciting part about the first week, I think, is going to be the local stories we're going to be able to tell in a different way, different format. and then also get to know some of these candidates. People are talking
Sure.
about the Senate race, and I have them on
Right.
live. We're going at it with the issues because, you know, candidates in the Senate race, for example,
Right.
they're making big promises and they're saying who they are, but
Right.
how will they really vote on the issues? I try to peel away the onion and figure out Tim Ryan and JD Vance, because that, I think, is the biggest story of the year as we head into November.
Right.
And it'll give us some key indicators in terms of how are things going to look, you know, then in 2024, where the voters' heads at.
How will your newscast, the 5 p.m., intersect with the 6 p.m.? Has that been talked about? What happens?
Yeah, we'll have a seamless transition.
Oh,
we're not
okay.
going to do, like I said, the traditional abrupt, okay, we're done, move on.
Right.
Because I don't know. I think it's important to show that we're a team, because we are. This is essentially the new era of 21 News.
Sure.
In my opinion. Post-COVID, we came out of that, changed a little. Some people retired. We also had veteran journalists leave prior
Right.
to COVID,
Right.
because they need to enjoy their retirement and you know, try new things in life. And I think it's my job and some of the other folks in this newsroom to lead the way for some of our new members of the team, and we're adding people
Right.
that are from the area.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not technically from Youngstown, but I feel like this is my home. I'm
Sure.
here more than I'm at my house. People say, well, why do you commute? Because I love my job. I could commute to Cleveland for actually 10 more minutes of a drive each way, and it'd be painful because of the traffic. And I'm a really nervous driver, so I'm not very good at that, by the way. I just kind of make it look good. But yeah, it's something that I think people really will appreciate, because we have conversations that they miss out on all the time.
Right.
So this gives us a chance to get to know the whole team together, because we don't get this done just one person. And I feel some pressure being, you know, solo
Sure.
anchor for sure. But then I know that I have this newsroom of well-known reporters in the area that they know what they're doing. I have editors who have been in the field, who have led the way for so long. I can lean on them, and we're all a family at this point. I see them as my family. You know, I won't treat this as a job I go to every day, because if it was, I probably, as a mom, probably wouldn't get done. You have to have the motivation to get out the door and handle the mass chaos of doing
Yep.
her hair, and then do your own hair, and okay, let's go. Did we shower? Yeah, we showered. Okay. Yeah, it's a good time. It's so exciting because, like I said, I just want to be the best in every category. And I know growing up, I thought I'm going to make sure that I just enjoy my life. You know, I had, like I said, some tough times.
Right.
And before I got into college, I didn't figure out who I was and what I wanted to be all the way until I got to Kent and really started to fine tune, you know, the school, my life, my goals, and I was really glad that I went to Kent and that I stayed close to home, because I never wanted to leave. You know, I never wanted to leave my home. I'm very happy here. And I have friends that moved on and they went to bigger cities
Right.
and bigger markets, and I'm excited for them because they're still doing really well. So it's cool to see us all grown up.
Oh, see, thank you for joining me, and
Yeah.
I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
We'll look forward to seeing the newscasts, and you know, look forward to following your career.
Well, thank you. I'm honored to be on your
I-
podcast.
Well, I
This is
you
so
know
neat.
been here a long time, and you know, Mona Alexander, the news director, and I have known
Yes.
each other for 40 years.
And
we
she's
used
told
to-
me
We
stories.
used to compete against each other for a long time,
But
and
see,
now
it's women like her
yes,
that inspire
absolutely.
women like me to be tough.
Yes.
Because, you know, a lot of people say, oh, you know, you can't be in that role. Well, if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. I can
Exactly.
handle it.
Right.
So if it's not me, then someone else. I want to be in the mix.
Well, all the best.
Thank
and,
you.
We'll be talking again.
Yeah.
And anytime you've got something that you'd like to publicize or talk about, give me a call.
Okay, cool. I'll
Thank
definitely
you.
do that. Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you.